Good morning, just about everybody. So I've been suitably conditioned that we need to get this over with pretty quickly, so I'll do my very best. I'm going to talk about negotiation. The concept, the subject area is very broad, and I'll just cover a few things that are, more everyday life as opposed to public or private sector. Just things that we can do with regards to behavioural aspects and some things to be looking out for. I've already been conditioned, and that's just one precursor of negotiation. As we know, we're being conditioned by elections, by what's happening with Brexit, by what politicians are saying. And if we don't condition before we go to market, before we put tenders into the market, whatever, if we don't talk to our suppliers, let them know what our expectations are, what our needs are, then we're not going to potentially get the right outcomes. If we don't look to innovation and say to suppliers that we want things to be different, they're just going to keep doing the same old thing. So conditioning is just one small part of the front end of a negotiating process. That's right. Okay. So, just as a quick Springtide, we negotiate every day. We've got guys out there that are dealing in industry, that are dealing in public-private sector. Whether it's biopharma, whether it's engineering, whether it's construction, manufacturing, and we're getting involved in dealing with suppliers, supply chains, small spends, large spends, complex, rapid, stuff that takes years. So we're involved in all aspects of the negotiating process and, dealing with different people. So the aspects that I'll talk about today are quite specific, just some of the individual styles. There's lots of styles that we can all take to negotiation. I've just picked 4. Lots of different models, lots of different frameworks, so we'll just go through one. Some very, very basic body language stuff and things that we can pick up on that we can look at, again, when we're negotiating. Some influencing methods, and there's, again, lots of good models. Cialdini has come up with some great stuff over the years, and just what some of the buyer and seller requirements are from a negotiating process. So we have a really great quote here. Whenever 2 people meet, there's really 6 people present. There's each one as he sees himself, each one as the other person sees him, and each man as he really is. Those of us that are schizophrenics, perhaps there's more than that as well. But there's certainly a lot of things to be taken on board when we're negotiating. I have my prime seller is over there, sat in the corner. And he comes back and says, "Mike, I've got the contract, we've got the deal." And I said, "David, at what cost? What did you give away?" He said, "Oh, I know, but we've got to keep busy, we've got to keep these people occupied and have the capacity there." And I'm like, yeah, but we didn't really need it at that amount. So it's, how desperate were we to do the deal? Either side, as the buyer conceded, as the seller conceded, are we actually giving stuff away too quickly? And there's lots of, again, different approaches that people make. There can be some people that are they just want to get on with it. They're aristocratic. Maybe they want to deal with authority. And as we'll see, one of the methods of persuasion, some people like to deal with authority. They're influenced by authority. Whether it's by the titles that people have, whether it's the perceived power, they like to deal at certain levels, particularly as we know when we're dealing with Moncton and what have you. It'll be, the top table within most corporates will be dealing with professional services because that is the level that they're negotiating at, that they're dealing at, and it's appropriate to be at that level as well. Some people just don't like negotiation. Come on, let's just get on with it. I feel uncomfortable. We do have some people in our business, they're not front-facing to the client. Put them in front of a client and say negotiate, they're analysts, they're not going to enjoy any level of that whatsoever. They're just going to crumble, and just basically sign up to whatever deal is there. So different approaches, different people. So just some of the styles that we can go through. The extrovert, we can think about some of the politicians that are in the arena today, whether in the UK, whether across Europe. The extrovert, basically they're constantly moving. They've got lots of ideas, lots of energy, but it really is on their agenda. It's what they're wanting. They've got high aspirations, high goals. They're very talkative. It's basically they're awkward people to negotiate with. We had a client that we had for many years, about 5 years, complete nightmare. Head of procurement, and it really was what he wanted all the time. Kept changing the goalposts. Can you do this? Can you do this? It's like, how many times do we have to keep changing the resources in this? How many times do we have to keep coming up with different deliverables? How many times do we have to keep changing this report structure? How many times do we have to keep looking at other geographies? It was a nightmare, but you just couldn't pin him down. So the approach that you have to take with these people is, and this is where people such as David are very good, because they nail them, and they absolutely tie stuff down. Right, my understanding, they play it back, is that you want this. These are your requirements, is that correct? Because next week they've forgotten what they said this week anyway. So it is about ensuring that you play it back, you potentially inflate their ego. I mean, this head of procurement, he absolutely loved himself. I didn't inflate his ego very much. I've been a buyer since the age of 16. I have a problem with inflating people's egos. I deal with sellers all the time. So I wasn't very good at that. So there was extra work that we could have got that perhaps we didn't get because I wasn't doing that coaxing. And then David came along and sort of, give a good stroke every now and again, make them feel good, because it's about understanding who that person is. So the extrovert, difficult to deal with. So then we have the pragmatist, and I think we've definitely got quite a few pragmatists on the European scene at the moment. And the pragmatist likes to be out there at the front. They want to win. They absolutely want to win, regardless of the cost. From a negotiation standpoint, this can be a problem because what they do is they don't create agreement staircases. They potentially push people into corners and they create roadblocks because it's basically on my agenda. I'm going to set the targets and I'm going to absolutely achieve them. So they are awkward. In terms of how you approach, there's lots of theory around when we should give concessions, rules of reciprocation, everything else. You need to give them something, but don't give them a concession too big, too quick, because they're just going to want more, whether it's relaxing conditions, whatever it may be. So it's about, concede slowly, stand your ground. There's the Russian front. You can say no 5 times. Just keep saying no. And eventually, they'll get it that perhaps they can't have everything that they're after today. Maybe next month, next year, potentially, then you'll start to, re-engage and have a further dialogue. And if you don't struggle and show them that it was painful and that they've had a really good win, well, again, they're going to want more. So it is about showing them they've done a great job. Yes, well done. Go and tell your boss what a great negotiator you are. So pragmatist, difficult, again, but we can deal with them. The analysts, they like relationships. They like the detail behind the negotiations. We've had quite a few chancellors that I've put into this box in the past. They like the detail. They cannot negotiate without the detail. So they can't go into a process with half of the information. They have to have all the facts. Again, we have one of the guys in our business, unless he has everything, he just can't operate. Which is good because he's coming from a fact-based, logical position, and when he's got all of that information, he's going to be difficult to trip up. But we wanted it done yesterday, not in 3 months' time. So this can be a very frustrating person to negotiate with because they want all of the information. And if you do attack, if you do take them on, if you challenge them, they're just going to go, retreat, recoil, and not engage. So it's a case of trying to, work with them, understand what information they want, they need, so that you can actually move the process forward. One of the final ones is the pleaser. We perhaps had a few of these as well in terms of politics. In the last, certainly the last parties, but the pleaser really doesn't like the confrontation, the conflict, doesn't really want to be involved in negotiation, and they're wanting the relationship, they're wanting it to work. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it great? We've been dealing together for years. So is there anything else I can do for you? They're in the wrong job if they're negotiating, but it certainly is a style that's there if we attack this person, they're just going to crumble. They're not going to be able to cope with the process at all. Yeah, so I'll just put a few up there, familiar faces in the past, as perhaps where they may sit. And most of us have got a dominant style and a secondary style that we'll kick into. Some of us may not have any aspect of pleaser in us, whereas David, we were having a discussion, and I think with staff, I've certainly been a pleaser in the past and given all these things away. It's like, oh, you need to not do all of that. So you maybe change your approach dependent upon what you're negotiating in the environment that you're in. So, just a little bit on body language. What we need to ensure, whether it's with the tenders that we're sending out, whether it's the statements that we're making to suppliers, whether it's that preconditioning, and then when we meet them, you need to be congruent. Your language, how you're looking, how you're engaging, what you say, that it's congruent with what you're actually seeking. As we know, the verbal, visual, vocal. Now we've got Mr. Donald Trump is playing the verbal, visual, vocal quite in a very entertaining, dramatic way, as we're all seeing. Tweets are going out at certain times of night, so he's sending his message, and then he's following the message up, sometimes with what he's saying, whether it's consistent or not. I mean, but it's a completely different way that we're seeing, negotiation being played out in certain areas and aspects, and it's destabilising. So we just can't anticipate. Well, we can anticipate the fact that he's not going to be consistent in what he's saying. So there are aspects to his behaviour, and I think his counter, they're like, what's he going to do next? But so body language, we've got lots of posturing, and with negotiation, it's about seeing if you're in those face-to-face negotiations, how is the body language sort of being played out? Is it consistent? Is it that we're seeing people moving in, they're engaging, they're getting intense? I think, are they leaning across the table? Are they leaning back? Are they sort of clicking their pen, which is what David does quite a lot? Starts to get irritated and bored. As David, stop clicking your pen. I know I can't talk fast enough at the moment. Just bear with me. I know your thoughts are ahead and I need to catch up, but I'm not there yet. So, we can see that there are all sorts of gesturing positions that people make. And we've got, again, some of these people, the advisor to Hillary, it's sort of, do you have to do your makeup now? She's actually moving away, disengaged, like, there's a sense of distaste to what she's doing. Good old Berlusconi, trust me. Absolutely, this is going to be brilliant. His palms are out. It's, come on, come with me, guys. She's thinking, contemplating. There's all sorts, top corner. I'm so bored of this. Get me out of here. I've had enough. I've heard enough. It's time to move on. So we're looking at these gestures. We're trying to, sometimes we read too much into them. There's loads of micro clues that we can look for. A few years ago, I was negotiating an outsourcing contract. The contractor was misrepresenting information again and again and again and again. So we just went on full attack mode and just started to rip apart all of the arguments. Within the space of about 15, 20 minutes, he got through 2 big jugs of water. He was completely red, agitated, getting angry. It wasn't great, but what it showed us was, okay, we've revealed the fact that he's misrepresenting. He's completely given us the wrong information. Because he was under a lot of pressure, and he was then exhibiting and displaying that. Some of us colour up in different ways. Ladies particularly colour up around here. Men can get very red heads. And it's again trying, does it mean anything? Is it that they're uncomfortable? Or is it just a case of it's hot in the room? So there may be other aspects to it. And we kind of shoulders, hands behind back. There's some very defensive positioning that people can make as well. It's also quite interesting to look at. So that was just a quick bit on body language. Influencing styles. And again, the Abraham Lincoln When I'm getting ready to reason with a man, I spend 1/3 of my time thinking about myself, what I'm going to say, and 2/3 thinking about the other side. A lot of us don't plan our negotiation events, even if it's with our children. We just bluster into it, and the kids get the better of us all the time because they've already thought about what it is that they want to get out of the process, and they have very cunning ways and mechanisms to influence us and get us to do what they want us to do. So we don't think about the other party. We don't think about the methods that they're going to deploy, who they are as a person. If we've not done that, and David, he researches everybody that we negotiate with. He's looking them up. He's going on LinkedIn. He's trying to find out if they've written anything. He's trying to see who they're connected to, whether they're influential, have they got any power, are they the budget holder, whatever. You're trying to anticipate, the other party. You're looking for what they've done, what they've achieved, how they've accelerated through their career, whatever it may be, because that's going to give us a sense as to what their expectations are. How high are they going to position the negotiation? Lots of styles, lots of methods. Emotion can be quite effective sometimes. We've been dealing with you for many years. Are you really going to do this? Surely you would have thought that the relationship will carry this through. And these changes that you're seeking, you can defer them for another 6 months or a year or whatever it may be. Or maybe you should innovate and do something differently and actually go back into your own organisation to determine how we can do that better. We're seeing lots of intimidation on the political agenda at the moment. And it is being used, whether it's effective or not is debatable. And lots of methods of persuasion and power. So, Robert Cialdini, he's written loads about methods of persuasion. They're great texts. They're difficult to consume sometimes. They're quite intense. And he's come up with several methods of persuasion that happen every day. To many negotiations, many processes. Sellers like buyers, buyers don't like sellers, as the story goes. Sellers know what makes buyers tick. As sellers get to the liking principles, they do try to find out, what it is that interests this particular buyer. Do they watch rugby? Do they like certain types of food? Is it that they don't like sport at all, or whatever it may be? And they can talk to some of those aspects because you start to then develop a relationship. Human nature develops a relationship. As we know as well, when we go out and the wining and the dining, well, when we eat food, we actually have a natural chemical balances change, and we have a natural liking. We feel more comfortable, we're more relaxed. It's a great environment within which to negotiate, potentially, from a selling perspective. Reciprocity with everything. Human nature sort of indicates, well, if we give, we want something back. So going back to my crazy thing with my staff, if I was giving, say, bonuses or hampers or whatever it may be, I expected more motivated staff. I expected maybe more hours to be worked. Or whatever. I mean, it was a nice thing that you're doing, but you wanted some form of reciprocation. So when you don't get the reciprocation, you then start to wonder, well, what did we do wrong? Why is that party not reciprocating? So there's lots of great methods of persuasion that we can use and we can think about. And in negotiated events, and this comes back to my lifeboat stuff, you've got to change the kind of styles, the methods of persuasion that you're using. This week, one of our guys went in to negotiate with the facilities management company. The first thing he did was to use methods of persuasion, in terms of this could be a long-term contract, we could be looking at these other sites coming on board, this would be great for you to have. There was a logic to it in terms of they'd come up with all of these ridiculous costs that they wanted, the fixed and the variable. We can use logic to look at your fixed. Your variable costs that you're trying to get here are completely ridiculous. They don't reflect the market. They don't reflect how we should be reimbursing you. You're actually trying to just make excess profit. So then there's an aspect of emotion that was used with regards to the other stakeholders, that was said, we don't believe that this is fair, given how we've evolved with you over time. And then there's some power that was applied at the end, just in terms of, do you want this contract or do you not want this contract? Lots and lots and lots of different tactics that people use in negotiation. Good cop, bad cop, as we know, they're actually both bad. But it's just a contrast. The first person is potentially really not a pleasant person, and I call them the slathering beast. That absolutely, this is what I want, this is what I need, here's the great big long list. Okay? And then the good cop is the one who goes in. They're still wanting a list of requirements, but it's potentially less. And I'll just go, last minute nibbling is when you get into the end of a negotiation. People have been in this for months, potentially. Both parties want the deal, and the buyer typically will ask for something at the end. Again, an outsourcing deal. I've got a supplier to come in, and they brought their lawyers with them and everything else. Friday afternoon, middle of London, major deal. About to sign, oh, by the way, I want to sign an on bonus. That's a 6-figure number. Can you do that? We got it. I said, I've got 15 minutes. We can either go and drink some wine down at the, down there, or I'm just going home and I'll go and talk to somebody else next week. And they're sort of, are you real? We're very real. We can do that. It's back to having the power. But you've done your research as well. So lots of tactics, lots of things. So come to an end. It's lunchtime. Good. I'll just finish with, there you go. Know what each side wants from the negotiation. And a lot of the time, buyers have gifts, sellers have gifts. Let's try and to assess what both has and what you can see and what you can give away. Okay, thank you.